Hey guys, so I currently have what I think is about 40 books out from the library right now. This shelf here and this shelf here are my library books. So I thought I would do a very quick library haul showing you the books that I currently have out. This is over the course of a few weeks. I'm allowed to have books out for a month, but we can renew them if there's no other holds on them, and we can have up to 100 books out. So yeah, I make good use of that. This is just the books for me. My kids have books under my account. They also have their own library cards, but it's just easier if we all generally use the same account, except for audiobooks, then we all use our own accounts. So I've been doing a library experiment this month, and I was going to kind of share this vlog style, sharing how it went, but it was kind of awkward to figure out how to do. So I'm gonna talk about the experiment and how that's going. So one thing that I'm trying to do is read a little bit of each book before I bring it back to the library. And this is because there's so many books that I have taken out numerous times from the library, and then when I finally get to it, I realized I didn't even actually want to read it. It was some reason or other, it was not actually a book I wanted to read. And if I would have just read a little bit from the first time that I took it out, I could have saved myself like time taking books out. And I mean, I view it as helping librarians have jobs. Our library does a tally at the end of every receipt, sharing the value of the books that you got out from that trip and your total value for the year. And I believe I'm sitting around $15,000 in books taken out this year. And I don't believe that counts ebooks or audiobooks or any of the audiobooks my kids are doing on their own accounts or their ebooks. So we make good use of our library, and I just view myself as, giving back to the community, helping employ people. So let's just dive into all of these books. Some of them I've read little bits of so far, and some of them I haven't. So when I am reading, I'm trying to do like between a page and a chapter to see if it's a book that I want to try again. So one of the ones I have, and I haven't tried this one, is Lines of Courage by Jennifer A. Nielsen. This is her newest book. It is a middle grade historical fiction, and this one is set in World War I. I really enjoy her middle grade historical fiction. I feel like she is the Ruta Sepetys of middle grade historical fiction in my mind. Then I have Greetings from Witness Protection. I feel like maybe Anne read this one recently. Somebody definitely read this one recently, and I believe this is middle grade as well, about a family that goes into witness protection, and then do they I think they foster a child or something. I could be wrong about that, but it sounded interesting when whoever, possibly Anne, possibly someone else, mentioned it, so then I requested. And I did get out a Ruta Sepetys, Out of the Easy. I think this is maybe one of her first ones. It's not one that I've ever really heard a whole lot of people talk about. Recently I did get a comment, someone said this is one of their favorites by her. This is copyright 2013. So she usually writes historical fiction, but I think it says, known amongst the locals as the daughter of a brothel prostitute, Josie wants more out of life than the Big Easy has to offer. So this one feels like it's maybe not historical fiction, which would be very different. Then I have Shadows in Mind's Eye. This is, I believe, a debut novel and one that came out this year, I think. This was one of the ones I had on one of my anticipated releases, and I don't really remember much about it. It's maybe historical fiction, Christian historical fiction, but don't quote me on that. Then I've been wanting to try some Kit Pearson because she is like one of the few Canadian historical fiction authors, and this I think is about kids being sent from England to Canada. So she does middle grade Canadian historical fiction, I think, for the most part. And so this is book one in her series. And then I want my daughter to maybe read that if it's any good. And then I shared this in my You've Got Mail announcement video. I have Tom Hanks's Uncommon Type. These are short stories of sorts. I haven't read it. Might read it for September. And then I currently have out book 2 and book 3 from the Murderbot series. I read book 1 a couple of years ago, and since they're so short, I thought I would try book 2 and 3 and then decide where to go from there. I think there are like 5 really short books and then a full-length novel and then some more short ones, but don't quote me on that. It's a science fiction series. And then I got out The Secret of the Swamp King. This is book 2 in the Wilder King trilogy. We're actually currently listening to this trilogy as a family, although we've been on book 3 for a long time and haven't listened to it for like the last month, but technically we're still listening to it. I got this out to share kind of in a homeschool post. And another one I shared in my You've got Male Video is Waiting for Tom Hanks. This is a rom-com that someone wants a Tom Hanks like man, and this might be one that I read for the rom-com prompt, but I also have requested a few others, especially the comments of that video. People gave me some ideas, so I'm not sure what I'll actually read for that prompt, but something. Then 3 that I've read the beginning of and enjoyed, but like they didn't suck me in enough to continue at that moment, are Death in the Sunshine. So this is a retired detectives club, so that gives me Thursday Murder Club vibes. But I also feel like, just based on the picture, I feel like maybe it is set in a like island setting, and then that makes me think of the TV series Death in Paradise. That's what I get when I look at this. So whether or not it has either of those vibes, I'm not sure. I read the first chapter or so and it was interesting, so I'm definitely want to finish or like actually read this book at some point. I made a shelf on Goodreads for books that I've checked out that I want to continue, which is this is on there, and then another shelf for books that I've checked out and tried but I don't think I want to continue unless somebody like really sways me one way or the other, because then I know, oh yeah, I have taken that book out and I don't have to like keep taking up the same books. Another one I started, and I've actually started this book before, is Ready Player One. I really want to read this one, but because I've read the first few chapters, it's always hard when you're trying to reread the first bit, because it's like I remember a little bit but not enough, so I have to read it. But this is a science fiction story that I actually really do want to read. And then another science fiction one is Ender's Game. So I read the first chapter and I'm very intrigued. I don't know really what is going on yet. I didn't even read the back. I know it's a fairly popular book and I believe it's a movie. But I was very intrigued by the first chapter. And then a couple more that are ones that I want to read as well. Bibliophile. This one is either like a really good coffee table book to have, or just like I like getting out from the library every now and then. One of my patrons actually told me about this a few months ago. So it highlights different bookstores and different types of books and some of the authors, and there's just all sorts of things. For me, at first I thought it would be one that I would want to buy, but since I've like looked at it more, a lot of the books are not really books that I'm interested in, so it's more of a one that I'll get out from the library every now and then. So it's pretty, it's kind of cool, but personally I don't think I want to own it. Then I got out The Home for Unwanted Girls. I actually have this on ebook and have for years, haven't read it. So I thought I would try the physical copy, and the first chapter definitely had me intrigued. It didn't really suck me in, but I want to read more before like putting it aside or whatever. And this is historical fiction set in Canada, in Quebec in the 1950s. So I want to read more Canadian books. Then one that I've read or heard a lot about on BookTube, both from Angie and from Tiffany, is Red Rising. Both of them have loved this book recently, and what they've told me, I feel like I would be interested. I read the first chapter, it didn't suck me in, but I feel like I've heard enough that I want to read more, at least try more. And then I think it was Gloria that talked about Shiver, and this one definitely gave me vibes of One by One by Ruth Ware. So it's a thriller set in like the mountains. Is it in France as well? Yes, it's also a France ski resort, same as One by One. Okay, on to the next shelf. Okay, this is one that Anne was raving about. The Ogress and the Orphans. This one is a middle grade fantasy, and I think, well, she said it moved her the same way Sweep moved her, and that book was really good. So this is one that I hopefully will get to and like actually read the entire thing. Then there's this one, After We Were Stolen, and this happens every now and then. I get books out and I don't remember why I requested it. This seems to be maybe a thriller-esque book. Oh wait, no. Okay. Avery and Cole were kidnapped 15 years earlier, stolen by cult leaders they knew as mom and dad. So obviously I requested it for the cult purposes. Maybe someone recommended it on my cult video. I haven't tried most of these ones here now. Okay, and then Annihilation. This is another one that I clearly remember someone talking about, but I don't remember who or what they said about it. So yeah, this is why like So this wouldn't be a book I would pick up normally when I get it from the library, because I've got other books that I know why I requested it, I know why I'm interested in it, so they would take priority, and then this one would come to the due date and I would put it back in the bin, not knowing anything about it. And now at least I will read the first page or first chapter and know a little bit more about where I stand with this book, if it's something I'm interested in actually reading. Then I got out Beach Read. This was another like maybe option for my rom-com. I feel like this is one that a lot of people that I follow who don't read a ton of rom-coms have read. So I don't know. It says the word steamy on the front though, so this might not be for me. Okay, then I've got out Sea of Rust, and I'm pretty sure... Okay, I totally forget her YouTube channel. Bunches of Books, is that what it is? I'll add it over here like I usually do. But I've been requesting a bunch of books that she has been recommending, especially her like Christian science fiction books. And I believe that is maybe what this is, or at least science fiction. Maybe this one isn't a Christian science fiction, but she mentioned a bunch that sounded really good. Then I got The Lioness, and this is a historical fiction, maybe one that people recommended when I was reading a lot of historical fiction, or wanting to, a few months ago. This is set in 1964 in Tanzania. So, a luxurious African safari turns deadly for a Hollywood star and her entourage. So it's a historical thriller. Interesting. I don't think I've read much for that. Then I have The Song of Batoche. So Batoche is a place in Saskatchewan that has a lot of history with the Métis, and so I want to read more Canadian historical fiction. So this is one I picked up, and hopefully it's good, because there's not a whole lot of options for Canadian historical fiction, especially that one is specifically Saskatchewan. This one I think I got for my daughter. It's How to Money, Your Ultimate Visual Guide to the Basics of Finance. I haven't even looked at it, but she likes generally this kind of thing. Like a lot of Usborne books that have, you know, some information with some graphics, the A to Z of allowance. From asking for one to how to use it best. Like different parts of a check. It's very interesting, actually. This looks like a whole curriculum, honestly. So, tons of different stuff. Oh, this is like trades, like your stock market and retirement. Maybe I should read this. This is another one I don't remember specifically asking for. The Things We Cannot Say. It looks like historical fiction set during World War II. So, and I don't know who the publisher is, so I'm not sure if this is... I don't think it's Christian fiction. Then Gloria really recommended Dear Mrs. Bird to me recently, so this is one I plan on giving a try. It's not very long. It's less than 300 pages. So hopefully I can get sucked into that one. And then Renegades is one that Karina did I think she just did a try chapter. I don't think she actually read the entire book. This is by Marissa Meyer, and it is, yeah, it has to do with superheroes, I think. It kind of gives me vibes of Skyward, Brandon Sanderson's, what is this called? Steelheart, The Reckoners trilogy. So I'm not sure. Definitely want to try that. I got The Last Map Maker. This is a middle grade book that I don't really know anything about, but a few people have raved about it, so I got that out. And sometimes middle grade books, I don't know if I'm getting them out for myself or if I'm getting them out for my kids. Then when I was looking for more Canadian authors, I came across this series. I'm not sure which one comes first. My 100 Adventures or Northward to the Moon. This is the same author that wrote a book about a family, a group of kids, siblings that ended up, they ended up orphans, moved to Canada from Asia somewhere to go live with their aunt, and they got there and their aunt was actually dead, and so then they lived on their own. And it was an okay book, but I wanted to try out some others by her, so there's those ones. Then I have Keeping Safe the Stars. I think this is by Sheila O'Connor, who I think, oh, she's the one that wrote Until Tomorrow, Mr. Marsworth. So I'm not sure if that's why I requested it, or if someone specifically mentioned this book. I don't even remember if I requested it for myself or for my daughter, but because I will read a little bit of it, I will know kind of who it's geared towards. Then a subscriber mentioned Irene Hannon, and I believe it was Sea Glass Cottage that she said she wanted me to read, so I got that from the library. I have never, to my knowledge, read any Irene Hannon. So she writes Christian contemporary fiction. A nonfiction on here is Find Your People by Jenny Allen. So it's building deep community in a lonely world. Actually, this book, I should probably start this right away. So this is Christian nonfiction, and I believe this one just came out this year, the beginning of the year. I really like some of her other books that I've read. Okay, then like the longest title goes to The 100-Year-Old Man Who Climbed Out the Window and Disappeared. This one I have out because in September my library book club will be starting up again. Not mine, the library book club that I go to. We haven't done it since COVID, and this is the first book that whoever is leading it chose. So I don't know, I don't usually really love, I don't know if I've ever really loved the books that they have chosen for the book club, but it's an interesting conversation. I'm generally the youngest person by 20 plus years, but it's all good. So I'll definitely be at least giving this book a try. It is acceptable to come to book club without actually having finished the book, so we'll see where I go from there. And then a couple more. These ones, okay, these are some that I have tried and didn't catch my attention, but I'm not necessarily completely giving up. So this Search for Wandla, I gotta put these down. This is one that Karina mentioned in her science fiction books that she was trying, and I thought this was a graphic novel or something, and it's just an actual book. So it is a science fiction, maybe middle grade-ish science fiction, but it didn't catch my attention at this time. And this one's disappointing because I think I would like this book. It's The Words Between Us, and the beginning part wasn't interesting. Does that mean the rest won't be? No. But it's not one that I'm going to pick up from the library unless somebody really pushes the book on me. I believe it's Christian fiction and possibly contemporary? Oh, but it has a bookstore. Right. Yeah, so maybe I'll give this one another try. Oh, and then I got out Uncommon Ground. Somebody either told me about this or I got it out because it's written by Timothy Keller, but actually it is a combination of essays by a variety of people in a variety of different denominations about living faithfully in a world of difference, which sounds really interesting, except that most of the people are scholars in their area, theologians, really smart people, and I would love to read a book about living faithfully in a world of difference by normal people, like the average person. I started reading it a bit and it's just like, okay, yeah, this reads too academic for my stage of life right now. And then Major Pettigrew's Last Stand is another one that I tried that it just didn't interest me in the bit that I read. And This Might Hurt. This is the second time I've gotten this book out from the library. I don't remember where I heard about it, but I got it out, actually tried it, and realized it doesn't interest me really at all, so those ones will go back, and I've given those a try. So I have some that are going to go back, some that I've enjoyed the beginning part, so maybe I'll pick them up next, and a bunch more that I need to read the beginnings. So it's a bit of a library haul, a bit of a here's how I'm treating my library using the books that I take out. I would love to hear, like, how many books do you get from a normal library haul? I usually pick up between 30 and 40, but some of those are for my kids and picture books and stuff like that. But I obviously have 40 books out right now and none of these are due right now, so it's a little bit too much, but at least this way I can eliminate some books and cross them off my list unless somebody really pushes them on me, which is the nice part about having a specific Goodreads shelf, that I'm not just DNFing them. I'm like saying, I took this out from the library, I gave it a little bit of a try, but not like the biggest try ever, and that way I know if someone pushes me to pick up this book again, then I will. Yeah, so I want to hear how you use your library, and maybe if this experiment that I'm doing has been beneficial for you, if you have the problem that I have by requesting a ton of books, more than you can kind of get through in a month. Thanks so much for being here, guys.